you can do, as I mentioned earlier, idlcwatch.org. You know, Nick right there, we have people that we contact. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, we got different people in mostly all the prisons in this state that we can contact and communicate with. And there's a lot of prison groups right now that do read books and go over information together on a regular basis. And we like to keep in contact with them to help that process along and get them the information they need.
Ain't no doubt.
What you saying, brother?
I just had a question for Zolo. I was wondering, as someone who's like politicized in prison during like particularly revolutionary period, I was wondering what your perspective was throughout your time of like the revolutionary libertarian perspectives of other prisoners in lockup. Like how has that changed over time? Or how's the landscape changed for people who are struggling that way?
Right now, the criminal mentality prevails, and criminality is promoted in prison. The people who in my situation, we had a policy of protecting certain people or groups of people, and we would assist them in prison because they were victimized. And by assisting them, we became targets of the prison administration. Now, I had started, well, not just me, but we started using the term the colonial criminal, a person with a colonial criminal mentality, or an unconscious prisoner. Those unconscious prisoners were the ones that were labeled criminals, and that we were political prisoners, but they were criminals. And that these criminals were rewarded because the administration would sick them on us. You know, they'll come in, they'll shake down to see we had weapons, and then they'll give these other individuals weapons, switchblades. They get a switchblade in here because the guard brought them in, but they wanted you to attack the political prisoners. When they attack the people who exhibit some type of political consciousness. That was going on. Why they spray? I told my mother, she's passed now, but I told my mother, that was years ago, I told her some things that we talk about today. I would go to visit, I would say, Mama, this is going on in here. She said, oh, they wouldn't do that. I said, yeah, then they did this and did that. I think I'm telling somebody, oh, come on. So now in my head, I'm thinking, maybe I'm mistaken. You know, and I said, no, I'm not mistaken. It was happening. So, like Jock was saying, it was frustrating because I'm trying to exhibit some type of dignity, but if you exhibit dignity, then they see it as a threat. They see you as a threat to the status quo, the way things exist, the way things are.
And then as soon as you walk out the door, they say, it's time for you to leave. They say, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, it's really amazing. It's really amazing. And when I went to prison as a young man, you know, I felt I was angry, you know, from where I came from and how I get all the tough breaks. And now I'm going into this system, you know. So I go in angry and bitter, you know. But understand, I'm not a bad person. There's nothing about me that's bad. Okay, but I was angry like a lot of people are, and I didn't know much, you know. So when you don't know much, oftentimes you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, you know. But so I went through that process, and going through that, and I had to learn. I mean, I've done 14 years. That's a long time, but I'm one of the lucky ones because I've done a fraction of what this man has done, you know, and he's still lucky. Imagine that, being up against this system, you know. Even he's still lucky, beating death row out twice, and still serving 40 years, you know. So I was one of the fortunate ones who said, wait a minute, man, you know, how do I keep ending up here? I've been in prison 4 times, because I couldn't let go of the anger, you know. But this last time, I realized that I had to, because I finally figured out their plan. Their plan is for me to be destroyed in their system. That was the plan all along, you know. And it took me a long time before I can figure that out. But thankfully, I did. So once I got to that point, I realized I can't put this off on nobody. I can't say it was the police, you know. I can't say it's the government. I can't say it's this, even though maybe these different groups had a hand in setting certain situations up, you know. But ultimately, I had to be accountable for myself. That's the only thing that allowed me to get to this point. I don't have any control over what you do, what you do, what you do, nobody. But I can be responsible for what I do, you know. And with that, I can decide my next step, you know. And with that, after that, I can go forward and continue to go forward, just like I've done, you know. So, you know, I'm very proud of that. But, you know, the prison has to get to a place where it wants to focus on actually helping people instead of destroying people, you know. Question?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say something. You know, some of the stuff that happens in prison. You know, one thing. You know, obviously, you know, I've been in prison. A lot of the drugs is the one. You know, how it affects individuals. You know, I've seen that in and out. You know, you and I. You know, and it's bad for a lot of individuals. You know, because they come in and maybe doing drugs on the streets, or you know, being around them. And they end up getting worse off into drugs, or they start to get into drugs. And you know what goes on in prison programs and things that's supposed to, you know, rehabilitate you. It's a big distraction. It's a lot of things that, you know, it's in prison that is not meant to really help better you in a lot of situations. You know what I mean? Kills your family as well. You know, just as well as you know what I mean? Physically, mentally.
Bad business.
Yeah. Just wanted to say that.
But yeah, we've gone a little bit over time, but I just want to really thank everybody, you know, everybody involved in the Zoom call,
Most definitely.
and everybody here in attendance today. Thank you so much for
appreciate you.
coming out and really listening. And it's been awesome, you know, and I'm just starting as a moderator, but I will continue for, God willing, a very long time to come, you know, because I really do appreciate the energy that you guys bring to the table. You know, it's inspiring. You know, because in there, when you're in that room and you hear the judge's voice and the prosecutor's voice, and they say nobody cares about you, you know, nobody gives a damn, and you start to really question that. And I'm like, I know my grandma really loved me,
Right.
you know, but you know, you're trying to figure all this stuff out. But then when I come here and I see all you guys' faces, you know, and it just really reiterates the fact that people actually do give a damn, and that's nice to know, you know.
It's a blessing.
Blessing. So really, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr.
Oh
Azania.
yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Anytime I can
guys.
help.
Yep.
Appreciate
I
you.
want to, right before you go, I want to comment on something that he said, is that prison could be a positive thing, you know, but when you look at the history of what prisons was to control surplus labor.
Right.
You didn't have a bulging prison population during the system of shadow slavery. But when you had the prison is designed to control a captive population and surplus labor. Surplus labor are the people who are unemployed, or underemployed, or unemployable, and you're not in the job market. So if you're not in the job market, you're in the way. You'll be in a liability on somebody. So we need to put you away and exploit your labor while you're there and make money off of you. Otherwise, you're no good. You're outside the job market, and that's what they use right now. They use the prisons also against the population of this country. The unions, the workers, prisons are used against them. Whose side you think the police are gonna be on when you want to have a pay raise? And you say, well, we demand a pay raise and we're not going back to work. Who side you think the police gonna be on? The police are not workers. The police are not,
They work for us.
well, the police doesn't work for us. The police are the Praetorian guards of the ruling class.
Right.
That's what the police are.
Yeah, they definitely don't work for me.
They're not serving to protect us. They're serving to protect. They're using our money, our tax money, but they're not established to protect the people. The police started as slave catchers. They were called patrollers, and they rode around with wagons that were made like tiny little jails. They were called paddy wagons. So when slaves ran away, they was captured. They was captured by the slaves. They even got badges for and then as the slave system, which was an economic system. It was directly tied to the economy, agrarian economy, where you was using slave labor. But the police became what they are today. That is how they started. That's the history of the police. You got to have history on everything you do. Got to be a history so you can know what happened before, so you won't have to repeat the same thing again. As they say, what's his name? Santana? What is it? He said Santana. What his name was? Santana? Those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. So if there's going to be a national policy in this country to do away with the history course, then what they're telling us is we are condemned to repeat everything that we don't went to up to this point.
Every lesson not learned.
Everything.
Repeat it.
Definitely.
Every lesson not learned, you repeat.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.